Good morning, everybody, and this is your Dow Jones setups for today. And well, welcome to 2024. So, just starting off on the monthly chart here with the Dow Jones, I just want to highlight two things here. So, we had a massive engulfing bar here in November, and then December we continued. So, you can see opening on our low, closing on our high, opening on our low, closing on our high. So, that is a pretty bullish setup. A second thing to bear in mind is that we closed at an all-time high. Okay, so we've had a fairly good yearly bar as well. So let's get our open was there. So that is a good 13% return on the market, and that's a massive green bar. There is a bit of a tail to it. Basically 5% tail, 10%, 13% gain or so. So, you know, the reality is it was a fairly good November and December. You can see the rest of the year was all over the place, but that is something you do need to pay attention to. So when we start drilling down to the time frames that we're interested in, you'll see that there is multiple levels of structure, and I'll give them to you now. I just want to get all three of them in. So you can see where I'm picking it up on the tails, and I'll give you those levels now when we get down to lower time frames. But this is sideways price action at the moment. Oscillators are indicating we're extremely overbought, so you would expect either consolidation or sort of some kind of a pullback onto something. Now, when we get to the 3 hour, that's your cue to hit that like button for us. Share, drop a comment, and it does help. Everything that you do with the interaction does help us grow the channel. Now, look at the 3 hour. You can see we have a separation of the oscillators, and we have, well, starting to cross over. Haven't crossed over yet, but we are definitely starting to cross over. And this is where the levels start making sense. So the first one, there is a bit of a pin bar here, there's a top here, and a gap. So that is at 37,713. 37,713. That's what you're looking for first. Second opportunity would be at 37,599. Round that off to 37,600. And then you have another level at 37,470. Line in the sand, where you'd start looking at shorts, is basically below 37,044 at this stage. If we defend these levels higher up, then obviously that is going to become our line in the sand. Now, if we drop down to the hour, you can see we had a bit of a sell-off, a bit of profit taking, tested a level quite nicely here at 37,600, and then the buyers came in. So there's definitely some merit in looking for the opportunities to buy and continue this. The only negative aspect that I see is kind of this here, and you can see how we sold off it. So basically just a trend line along the bottom here over the last couple of days, and you see we sold off. So it could be a case of coming back to test this for another move down, but I'm not convinced of that. So if we just drop to the 15-minute, you're going to see quite a bit of structure. Now, similar to the DAX, there are a lot of tails. There's a lot of pin bars, and I would expect this gap to close. If it doesn't close and we have a breakaway gap this week, then we have some serious upside targets to be chasing. So there's a lot of noise around that happening, but there's also there's a lot of elections coming this year. There's forget the number, but there's a number of countries who have elections next year, well, this year, sorry. And it's going to be fairly interesting to see what happens in a number of areas. So for me at the moment, I am looking to buy, and this is the most logical spot at the moment, 37,713. I would round that off to 37,100 dead, which is probably here. That's 37,670. So this is the zone that I'd be paying attention to. 37,713, 37,670. That's the first area that I'd definitely be paying attention to for an opportunity to buy into this. What you're looking to target at the moment is going to be the current high of this consolidation, and more levels we put in, the more busy the charts look. So this is kind of the first level we're looking for, which is 37,839. We need to break through that and find support before we start looking for longs beyond that. Okay, so let's just get the 15 minutes so you can just see what we are doing. So if we do get to 37,713, you've probably got a 55 point stop loss for a 124 point gain. So that's a fairly decent trade. So that's kind of the one option that I'd be looking for. Then the second option would be 37,670, and then you do have a gap a bit lower down here, and that is at 37,649. So there is a gap there as well, which you could pay attention to. And then you have this sort of line in the sand at 37,600. So those are the levels I'd be looking for. And obviously to target the current all-time high. So we've already tagged it twice, so I would definitely be taking profit there, because it's always a case of third time lucky or third time unlucky. So in other words, third time lucky we break through, or third time unlucky and then we bounce, and then typically we bounce a couple more times before we eventually break through, or we roll over a deeper pullback and then have another attempt at it. So that's kind of my view for today. Definitely looking to buy, just looking to buy off one of these three levels to the downside here. We start dropping below Friday's low, then I start changing my tune and start looking for these gaps lower down to close, which is that is at 37,415 is the next weekly. It was a weekly gap if I remember correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, let's just double check. Yeah, it definitely was a weekly gap, which is down here at 37,415. So 37,400 is another area, but that would be a nice deep pullback. And we get back down there, I'd definitely be looking for structure to buy back into the market again. Anyway, that's kind of my view for today. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Cheers for now.